Hey there, gang. Patrick King here. Thanks so much for tuning back in episode number 8, part 2 of my audio broadcast talking about horses with special guest all the way from Australia, Miss Colleen Kelly. In part 1 of our audio broadcast, we were talking about egoic fear and the rider needing to find their personal reason for riding. Colleen is back with us here for part 2, and now we're going to talk a little bit more about the actual physical fear and some more about rider mechanics. So, Colleen, again, thank you so much for joining me on this audio.
I'm excited. I'm sitting here looking at a beautiful farm here in Australia, and it's winter, and I'm going to go to the beach later on. So I thought I'd just rub that in again for the second time.
Oh, well, geez.
After spending many winters in America, I'll rub it in. And if anyone's just joining us for part 2, I want you to Google Surfers Paradise on Google Images just to make you feel really, really jealous.
There we go. And you had sent me a photo, I believe, a week or so ago.
I thought I sent it to everybody just to rub it in how beautiful Surfers Paradise is. And Patrick, we have a shrimp sitting on the. Do you understand that terminology in America? Having a shrimp on the barbie.
Absolutely.
Shrimp on the barbie waiting for you, but they're not your little American little tiny weeny things. This is a shrimp.
It's a real shrimp, huh?
You know about that movie, that's not a knife, this is a knife. Well, we have the shrimp down here, I tell you.
Oh, I love it. Well, I can't wait one day to take you up on that and share a shrimp on the Barbie there with you, because I tell you, the photos that you sent, and then the photos, I will admit that I did do a Google search just to see if you were, pulling my leg and rubbing that in, and by damned, it's the truth. That's got to be one of the most beautiful places I've seen. So I look forward to stopping out and visiting with you someday.
I mean, America has some incredible places, but I am an absolute beach fanatic, and anywhere where you can have horses and beach in the same area is just incredible. And we are such an incredible country with free medical and free optical, free dental, and we're so, I just don't realize, we complain. Like, it's really strange, and so it's great to be home, and I do love my good old Aussie sense of humour, and we're very unabashed, and we laugh at our politicians, and we laugh at everything. We've just got great sense of humour, and we have a wonderful show every year that if anybody does want to come to Australia, it's called Equitana,
yes.
And I'm going to Equitana, New Zealand in November. And so save up your pennies and come on down. It's actually so cheap to fly these days. So definitely got to be on the bucket list, Australia and New Zealand.
Oh, fantastic. It's definitely on mine. It's, the timeline has not been set yet, but it's one of those places I really look forward to visiting here in the future.
Patrick, we've got to get you down here.
I would love it.
So, seat and posture.
Yes,
where do we start?
Seat and posture. So let's talk about that. And so in the episode, in the first part of our episode, we talked about the egoic fear and the riders having, or the riders needing to find their why for their riding. So aside from the egoic fear, and please kind of correct me if you have more, but I would say on the physical fear, the rider's fear of being hurt, or worse, which is very likely because, as we said, horses are dangerous. It's a potential danger. It's always a calculated risk. It's very much like a pet rattlesnake, right? There's always the chance that you're going to get injured or get hurt. So with that, it's about knowledge and techniques and understanding the horse's thinking. And that, I find, helps riders immediately, whereas the egoic fear can be a lot more challenging for a rider to deal with. Do you find that to be true as well?
Oh yes. Look, I think there's probably about 8 or 9 different types of fear, Psychiatrists would say all fear is based on fear of dying. And probably it is. But fear of what the judge thinks when your boobs are bouncing is a different fear. Yeah. And I can say that because I was a double G cup before my breast cancer. Which, by the way, is going awesome, just in case you wanted to know. I'm very healthy. Doing really well.
I wasn't sure if we were going to get into that on the broadcast. I was going to ask afterwards, so I'm glad.
Oh, I'll outlive the lot of you. You need to know which fear it is. So let's start with the fear of shying.
Okay.
Because I figured out bucking. I figured out how to stay on. I figured out how to... It didn't help that I actually love rearing. When I was a little girl, I used to always make my horse rear because I did it in the movies. The guys that do on the Palomino. Was it Tonto and all of that? But the Lone Ranger, well, he showed a horse reared, so my horse had to rear. So every single horse I had, I taught... I did. I taught to rear. So I have no fear of rearing because it's fun.
Right.
If the horse... And of the 1,000 horses bred, broken, sold on our property, I have never had one rear on me. Never. And we have been sent probably, I'd say maybe 20 bad rearers, flip over, injure rider badly rearers to fix. And I put them through the training. One lady, I sent her back early on in the days when I used to do things like this. I sent the lady back. I said, look, I can't charge you because I can't make it rear. I said, I've asked it to rear and it won't rear. I don't know. And none of those horses were actually rearers. It was, they finally had no other choice to escape the rider than to rear.
Yes,
and
exactly.
It was the rider, it wasn't the rear, and the horses weren't rearers at all. Right. I do find that most horses only have one or two habits. A rearer will very rarely buck, and a bucker will very, very rarely bolt, and a bolter doesn't normally shy, right? They might shy and then bolt, right? And then sometimes they have to. Yeah, okay, you have a horse that throws a hissy fit that bucks, rears, bites, and throws itself on the floor and does everything.
Right.
But somebody that bucks like is a genuine bucker, buck, which probably is, if it's not the rider, there's probably something seriously wrong. Mm-hmm. By the way, 25% of all horses have broken ribs in one stage in their life. 25%.
25%. That's interesting. That's a statistic I'd not heard. Wow.
Now, they found that study was done at Dubbo Knackery here in Australia and years and years ago. And, like a little foal running in a paddock runs into a tree or somebody kicks it or, they can break them very, very easily. So when you're kicking them and they're bucking, well, don't kick that old buck.
Yeah,
And shying. Shying was my greatest fear. Shying was the only thing that ultimately in the end could get me off. And shying, once I basically can stay on anything. Give me a horse, I can stay on it, right? Give me an hour and I can probably start performing on it. But shying was the one thing. And I had this horse called Rex the Wonder Horse, and the captain of the Australian Polo Cross team, Alex Hall, now this is Polo Cross, gave me the horse for free, and I've broken in a couple of horses for him, a couple of state ends and stuff, and he gave me the horse for free, telling me that it was too quick and too dangerous. And he said, if you're alive in 6 months' time, you can send me some money for it.
Oh, my.
And I said, perfect. That's a perfect horse for me. So I brought home Rex the Wonder Horse, and this horse was, the guy said he was too quick. And I didn't understand, what could too quick mean to a polo cross player? And because, it's ultimate speed. How could a horse be too quick? Well, I was lunging the horse one day, and I found out what too quick meant, and I've only ever seen this once in my life. I wish I had a camera. I was lunging the horse at Liberty, no ropes, nothing in the round pen, and I got a little bit too in front of the drive line, which normally might stop a horse or might turn the horse around and go the other way, and the horse saw me get too far in front of the drive line, or too far in front of its center of gravity, or too close to its head, in other words. I should have been looking more around the belly at the time, but I was looking at the horse's head. I didn't know too much in those days. And I was looking too far forward, and the horse immediately started to turn around and go the other way. I mean, in a nanosecond, but in that same nanosecond, I realized my mistake and stepped back. The horse completed a 360, remaining on the same canter leg, and kept going.
Nice.
A 360. It didn't turn around and go the other way, and it did not. I'm a judge, so I'm very used to looking at horses' feet. It did not have a foot on the floor when it did it. It did it midair. Right, so this is Rex the Wonder Horse, okay? This is the Shire from hell. Yeah. When Lucifer said, I want a horse to shy, this was the horse. Anyway, so, I might stay on, but he might get me off too. So I trained the horse, and I had 22 horses to work at the time. And and we worked every horse every day. I had staff working with me, or friends working with me. They're never staff; they're always friends, and friends that I pay.
Yep,
and I don't like the word staff because I don't like the whole slave master, idea. And often I'll be cleaning stables, and my friends that I pay will be working my horses. And people say, why is the master cleaning the stable and the pupils are riding the horses? I'm like, I already know how to ride a horse.
There you go.
They're the ones doing the horses. I can do the stables, no problem. And I often saw the head rider cleaning stables and so I copied that. And so this shying, and I tried everything with this shying. I didn't know at the time to cut out all grain. That didn't occur to me, and so it was grain to death, which probably caused most of the shying. But I didn't know that at the time. So I still had to fix this overgrain, half-daisy thing. And of course, in the Australian bush, we have kangaroos, we have things that jump out at you,
Right.
And one cowboy finally came and he goes, yeah, that'll fix it. And I said, excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Yeah, that'll fix it. I said, well, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Get his ear back to you. Get his ear? What are you talking about? Whatever the inside ear is, so if you're going to the right on a right circle or going to the right in right canter, it'll be the right ear, so it's the inside ear. Whatever the inside ear is doing is how likely you are to die.
Well, there's a good way to look at it, yeah.
Is forward, it is you are going to die.
Yes.
And ever since, I didn't realize in our training, you know how we obviously have to show things to horses. We have to show them balls. We have to show them rivers. We have to show them bridges. We have to show them cracking whips or whatever we want to show them. In the police, we show them smoke and fire and guns and cannons and horrible people running at them. And, in the police, you can't even begin to imagine some of the crazy training that lot do. And it's all shying is only, to me, do you have that horse's inside ear? And if you lose the inside ear, if the horse's inside ear is forward, it's shying. So ever since then as a judge, if that inside ear was forward, I mark the horses down. And the hundreds and hundreds of judges that I've trained and the thousands of judges that I've lectured to at the very highest level, including the World Equestrian Games, I have instructed them when the horse's inside ear is forward, you must mark it down. And you mark it down in the submission mark in dressage. because the inside ear, you lost control. That horse is gone.
Yes.
And it might be the inside ear briefly forward looking at a jump that you're about to jump, so that the horse almost can't see. Almost. You will never get a horse to jump a jump with one ear back. You watch their ears. Sooner or later, both ears will go forward, even if it's for a split second. It's almost like they can't chew gum and walk down the street at the same time, or they can't pat their head and rub their belly, or rub their belly and pat their head. I never could remember that one. They can't do two. That inside ear is how you fix shying for all time. Now, how you get the inside ear to come back is up to you. Yes. You can spin horses in circles to get the inside ear back. You can talk to the horse. Sometimes that's enough to get the inside ear back. You can, if the horse is trained and it's older, you might squeeze your calf on the only if it's trained and older. If it's young, it'll buck you off, right. And so it should. I'm on the horse's side. You can squeeze your inside leg up against the inside rib cage, and that's often enough to bring the inside ear back. But if you don't have that inside ear back, you will shy. Now, there's a very famous YouTube video of me performing in pairs. And the other performer, a very, very famous person, and we're doing pairs in a very, very big venue, very famous, and the two big black horses, lovely. And this rider had the ears forward as she was coming around the corner. Mm-hmm. And as we were coming around the corner, I'm looking at her horse going, why aren't you bringing that inside ear back? We've got a really big, tricky move to do. We're doing difficult, very high-level pairs. And I'm thinking, why haven't you got that inside ear back? And she's a famous lady. Yeah. And both ears are forward. I'm like, and we're in the first corner. We come to the second corner. I'm thinking, why is it, if you get to the second corner and you haven't got the ear back, oh my God, you're going to die, girl.
Right.
By halfway down the long side, her horse shied on top of mine. By the time it shied on top of mine, I had my horse in my right hand, her horse in my left hand, my elbow pushing her back onto her horse, and nobody even half notices a thing. So I noticed that probably the arena's 20-metre ride or 20 metres. I'd noticed that probably 15 seconds before she had reacted. Yeah. And people go, how does the cowboy stay on? They stay on because the horses don't do the things that your horse is doing. It's easy to sit on a chair. Right. Chairs don't bark. Chairs don't shy. Right? Whereas you train your horse on the ground a lot to get that ear back. And then you train it in the saddle a lot to get the ear back. You're okay. Now, as you know, not only was I a professional vaulter, which is standing on horses, standing upside down, doing somersaults, lifting. My job was to lift riders. Okay. What's called a basic. Mm-hmm. I also started Paris vaulting, and I started the two state vaulting associations here in Australia, Tasmania and Victoria. And so I had a lot of experience in vaulting. I will not do any kind of fancy trick like stand a vaulter on it now, because we go three high. There'll be a person standing on the horse, someone standing on their shoulder, someone standing on them. No way will they do it if that inside ear is forward. Right. No way. So the lunger, we're tweaking with our thumb on the lunge rein all the time. Hello, horsey. Hey, horsey. Horsey. Anybody home? Yeah. Hello, horsey. Horsey, talk to me. And I never let my horse look at the crowd unless I say so. Yes. If I say, hey, horse, hey, look at the crowd, I want you to go and cuddle that little kid. Then otherwise, that ear is pinned back to me, the inside ear. Yes. The outside ear can do whatever it wants. I don't care what it does. It can do whatever it wants. Right. So that's shying.
And that's a piece that so many people miss. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that. And there's the shying, and there's just so many other things that'll come from the horse's lack of focus that way. It was interesting because I was at a clinic with Charles DeCunfee about coming on 2 years ago now, and he was adamant about the horse's inside ear to the point where he seemed to get upset when folks were taking photos if the horse even had both ears forward. He still wanted that one ear, that inside ear, to be back focused on the rider, and it makes so much sense.
I'm so glad Charles is out there pumping that, because I gave that lecture in Wellington, Florida at the Dressage Summit, and Charles DeConfie and myself were both lecturing, and it was me, our cowboys in Australia. It's all about the ear.
Yep.
You got the president's ear. It's a joke, and but in America, no one knows it. In fact, they think ears forward's good.
Right, exactly, because it makes prettier pictures.
And on about it at the Dressage Summit, and Charles and I talked about that, and there was Christoph Hess there as well, who thought I was the most hysterical thing he'd ever met. We had a great sense of humour. Christoph Hess is a very famous dressage man as well, and I remember saying to him, we were talking about the four major things, which is what I'd like to talk about now, the four major things that keep you on, and one of them is the chest. Your chest, what your chest does. And people go on and on about the core, but it's not the core, it's your chest. And I heard Guy McLean say, turn with your chest. And I've heard, this is what I said to Christoph Hess at the Dressage Summit, in front of everybody, with a great big panel of all the very prestigious people. I said, Guy McLean says, turn with your shoulders, and Pat Pirelli says, look where you're going, and this horse will turn with your shoulders. And Charles DeConfie and I have just been saying, how important is the inside ear, and how you turn with your shoulders, and how the chest is very important. But Colleen Kelly says, turn with your hooters. So who's more memorable? I thought Christoph Hess was going to fall off his chair. He laughed so much.
How did I know that was going to be your line?
Oh, man, I tell you, Christoph Hess was going to fall off his chair. It was funny. Look, I try to make things funny because I think, well, I'm a funny person anyway, but I think that we're taking it too seriously for a start. It's flipping horse riding. It's not Ebola. It's not AIDS. It's not people dying in Africa.
Right. Exactly.
If we really start to be a little bit nicer to ourselves, to say most of the people can't even ride a horse.
Right.
Most people in the world are terrified of packing a horse. And you're worried that your PR is wrong, or, the horse's quarters in, or you can't get it on the bit, or that's hard to get a bridle on, or you can't pick up the horse's feet. Most people don't even know what a horse's foot looks like, so you're above them anyway. So being a bit kinder to yourself. So, but yeah, the chest to me.
So the chest. So you're saying the four major things that'll keep you on. So the first is the chest. Where do we go from there?
I don't know that it's the first, but it's one of the equal four. Because if you screw any of them up, you're dead.
Gotcha.
As simple as that. The other one is looking down. We have tested with the London Metropolitan Police, which is that award that I got from the Queen of England's police. I just like to rub these things in. But no, seriously, if I get to train and to teach the Queen of England's police, these are serious riders. These are the riders. You can see them on YouTube. You just type in riders at the Olympia show that do the jumping course and take off the saddles while jumping. In the middle of the jumping course, they take off their shirt, they take off their it's incredible. Well, training those guys, you can imagine. All I had to do is get them down, and you can pull that officer to the ground.
Yes.
And I'm an old lady, and these are young, fit officers, fully trained. These are the the best riders in the world. I can't take a saddle off while I'm jumping. I have a saddle break while I'm jumping, but that's not the same thing. If looking down was that important that I can pull an officer to the floor, this explains a lot about why cowboys' hats sit the way they do. Now, I'd like them in a helmet, but, here we go. But a cowboy's hat, if he's looking down too far, it'll blow off. If he's looking up too far, it'll blow off.
Yes.
If he's in the rain, he knows exactly how to hold his hat. Now, if you expand that image to a sombrero and it's raining and you look down, your crotch is going to get wet. But moreover, you will come off. Now, the problem is evolution tells us to look down.
Yes.
The only time we look up and running is when we're exhausted. If you happen to see on TV a running race, you'll see right at the end of the race, the people that are exhausted start to lift their chin.
Yes, you're right.
It's absolute exhaustion. When we run, we tuck our chin and run, and we try to either freeze, flight, or fight, and protect our middle. And so we lower our head. And so to train us to look up is incredibly important, but very few people train looking up. The poor old instructors just don't look up, don't look down, don't look down, look up until they cry, and then they finally give up and go, oh, screw it, look down, who cares?
Yeah, that's pretty much,
I
right?
have told you 1,000 times, look up or you're going to die, so I'm not going to say it again. But so what I've done is I've tried to find some ways to look up. And combining balance with all of this. And I'm in a hurry. These guys are going to Olympics, or I'm training a lady who's scared. So, those little, spinchy, bouncy balls that are filled with, or you just get a sock. Get a sock and fill it with dirt or fill it with arena sand or something like that. And carry it. Carry it out in front of you. Balance it on your palm. Balance it on the back of your hand. Balance it out in front of you. Drop it if you get scared. And raise it up. Lower it down a bit. Train your vision. And train your vision to do things like, in raining, what a joke was the World Championships. My very first reining competition that I ever saw was the World Championship selections for WEG. And I've never seen another one. That's the only one I've ever seen. And so I guess I've seen the very best. How amusing it was that every rider, and I mean the winner as well, every slide was quarters left. They weren't straight. None of them. Not one. There was not one single straight horse there. Because in dressage, straightness, of course, we're judged on straightness.
Right.
And in the slides, they were all quarters left. Now, if your horse is going quarters left side, the horse is crooked. What's that doing to the hocks? What's it doing to his stifles? What's it doing to his spine? Why aren't there any 25-year-old reining horses?
Right.
I don't know, they're dead. Why? Because their hocks went, their stifles went. Oh, they went from sliding. No, they didn't go from sliding. They went from being crooked. You can slide all you want if you're straight and the horse is healthy, and it'll last forever. But if they're crooked, that's why straightness is so important in dressage. It's not because some city slicker wants to win a ribbon. It's because the military knows that a crooked horse will die earlier than a straight horse. And a crooked horse is slower than a straight horse. And in warfare, that's life and death. So straightness in a horse is vital. So these major four, the two of them, it's so simple. Train your vision. One of the ways to straighten a horse and train vision is to, in my instance, we look at the judge, but we look at what's behind the judge. A building, a tree, a stand or whatever's there, and line those two things up. and you line the horse's ears,
Yeah.
the judge's nose, and whatever's behind, and those three things line it up. And when you're crossing a diagonal, same thing.
Yes.
You get the letter, the horse's ears, and something, and line them up. So your vision is not just vital in the beginning for beginners to stay on, and I'm talking 56 years of riding and training horses and 34 years of that at elite level. My experience is these are the major four things that, as I'm leaving the industry, this is what I have to give you. Vision is probably is one of the major four. The other two, the other one, as I said, is your chest.
Yes. So we have chest and we have vision.
Yeah, chest. I hear about the core all the time. Strengthen your core. Strengthen your core. Now, I've got to say, as a scientist, because, my degrees are all science degrees, as a scientist, what's your reference? What is your reference? Who did you test that on? You say core is important. Who did you test it on? How did you test? How many people did you test? Where did you test? What muscles did you test? Well, the tests that I've done are pulling police officers to the floor. That's the test that I've done. The tests that I've done are literally hundreds or probably millions of lifts in vaulting. Mm-hmm. When you have to lift somebody to the floor, lift somebody from the floor onto the horse. And my job as a vaulter was to sit on the horse's neck backwards. We don't sit on the wither, we sit on the neck, just in front of the wither, and lift people onto the horse. And I did a few other things as well, but mostly that was what I was good at. And so I know how to stay on, and I know what muscles I use to stay on. And why did I develop the name in vaulting Colleen Kelly Jelly Belly? Now, unfortunately, that also, and I won't say his name because he's a very, very famous trainer. You and I privately mentioned him before. It also rhymes with his name, who also has a jelly belly. Now, Guy McLean, I love him, dear friend. At one stage, he's tuned up. He's only tuned up because he wants to look good on stage. That's all. At one stage, he had a jelly belly. I'm sorry, Guy, but and he and I talked about not eating quite so many donuts in America. We had a wonderful time at World Equestrian Games. How many riders do you know who are actually quite fat, with real jelly bellies, like Colleen Kelly Jelly Belly, that are awesome riders and stay on no problem?
Right.
How does that explain core? How does that explain core when some of these professional riders who are jelly bellies, Colleen Kelly, can go on stage and canter and stand and do tricks and lift riders from the floor and still be on a microphone and talk to 1,000 people? How is it? Now, the thing is, a fit rider will always do better than an unfit rider. Always. A fat rider will always have more problems than a rider that has got a good fat percentage in their body. Muscles and strengthening muscles means nothing in riding. I have taught a lot of footballers to try to teach them to ride, and they're terrible.
Yeah, because they're too muscle bound.
Strong, they're fit, and they could lift you, me, and throw us to the gatepost.
Yeah. And
they can't do a sitting trot to save their life.
Right.
So what is it that's keeping it? It's the chest. Now, here's a little thing. Get your sock full of sand and hold it out to the side of you. And not right out straight with a straight elbow. Just gently tuck your elbow into the side So it's like you're holding a ball or holding a sock of sand, and you bring it out to the side, almost like a wing, and that instantly fixes your shoulders and chest. Instead of lift your chest, raise your chest, or pull your shoulders back, or close your shoulders together, or open your chest in the front, all you need to do is get a ball of sand, and I've got some photos of me doing it on the website, and hold it 12 o'clock in front of you, and then 11 o'clock out to the side, 9 o'clock out, just basically above your hip, and bring it out to the side, and that fixes your chest. And that's how we lift riders on. Boom, chest. So now we've got vision, we've got chest, and you fix it just by bringing it in your side. Now we've got my favorite part to look at when I'm training cowboys.
Uh-oh. I think I know where this is going. I'm going to double check before I share the story of how I met you.
Hey, come on. Any of the cowgirls know what I'm talking about. Those cowboys in those jeans when they're walking away.
Oh, my.
Oh, well, come on. Why not we have a little bit of fun? It's about your seat bone, and we've got 4 of them. We've got 4 seat bones. We've got one on the left. We've got one on the right. We've got our tailbone and our pubic bone. And I don't need to ask you as a cowboy, Patrick, which would you prefer to sit on, your tailbone or
Colleen,
your
stop!
pubic bone? I don't know. I think you have 2 very good reasons why you do not sit on your pubic bone. Those 2 very good reasons are obviously because it's easier to fall off the horse, and it puts the horse on the forehand.
Right, that's exactly why. That's exactly why I don't want to sit there.
That's exactly why you are red-faced right now, I'm sure.
Yes, that's the only reason why I don't want to sit there. So now that we've alluded to it, I'm going to have to share for our listeners the way that I first met you. I was at a horse expo, I believe it was Maryland, the Horse World Expo in Maryland. We were both presenting there, and I was chatting with, I don't even remember who, because I kind of have this block in my memory, the total shock of somebody walking up behind me and grabbing my, well, we can say it on my show, grabbing my ass, and then insisting on a selfie with the cowboy. And I turned around, and there's Colleen Kelly. Nice to meet you.
I am sure that was not me. That was my evil twin.
That was your evil twin. Well, let me tell you, I knew from that moment, from that very first little pinch, it wasn't even a pinch, it was a handful. I won't lie, it was a handful. But I knew from that moment that you were one of my favorite people and we were going to get along just fine.
I'm sure that whole incident never happened. I'm sure of it. It was either my evil twin or I had a brief memory lapse for which I'm not responsible.
What happens at the expo stays at the expo, right? It's like Vegas.
That's for sure. especially Harrisburg Horse World Expo. I don't know why. That's always but all jokes aside, the thing I do notice by scientifically studying the rear end of a cowboy is that the cowboys often wear those big long chaps. I'm not exactly sure why, but like in the city, I can understand when there's thorny bushes and stuff like that. But the long chaps in the city, I believe their only purpose is to make the cowboy look even cuter.
I think so. I think you're right.
I'm allowed to say this. I'm an old lady. And what I noticed, the way those long chaps fit, there's for those of you who don't have expertise in this field of checking out cowboys' rear ends, the chaps have a leather piece that goes just underneath the cowboy's belt. And noticing when cowboys ride, that piece of that leather or the cowboy's belt, right just there, am I allowed to say, they're just above the crack of their back?
Sure. Hey, it's what it is.
That piece of leather, I don't know that it has a name exactly in chaps. That piece of leather, it never moves.
Right.
It's almost like it's super glued to that saddle and it doesn't move.
Yes.
Even when the world champion reiner is in the gallop phase, so he's leaning forward a little bit to lighten the horse and get on the forehand. People say, on the forehand's bad. I'm like, not if you're in the Kentucky Derby, it's not. You
Right.
want the horse on the forehand.
Right,
On
you
the
want
forehand,
that
it's
wedge
faster.
running downhill.
Yeah. And so that leaning forward of the cowboy, the top cowboys, that piece of the chap still stays in the saddle as they're leaning forward.
Mm-hmm.
So, in other words, their tailbone is still heavier than their pubic bone as they're leaning forward. So they're bending at the waist. They're sort of crumpling through the chest and waist to get the effect of the jockey to make the horse go faster, but that tailbone doesn't come off. Whereas women, at least 50%, and that's a high number for a scientist, at least 50% of the women are sitting fully on their pubic bone, and we can measure this. We can put electrical measurements on saddle pads and in saddles these days and on the horse, so we can measure all these things. 50% of women sit on their pubic bone. I've forgotten the numbers now, but I think about 20% sit sort of in the middle, in the mishmash middle. They're not on anything. They're not on the pubic bone, not on the tailbone. And only about 10% of women actually sit on their tailbone as like left seat bone, right seat bone, tailbone, like a tripod. Whereas when we test cowboys, nearly all of them sit totally on their not totally on the tailbone. It's 1/3 on the left seat bone, 1/3 on the tailbone, and 1/3 on the right seat bone when they're in a fully mounted position. Obviously, if they're jumping a jump, then they lighten their seat. But when they're in a fully sit position, those 3 seat bones are level. When they are in the reining sliding stop, right, in other words, you want to stop your horse, the tailbone is always heavier. It's always 100% of the time we've measured it as being heavier. And we've never measured jockeys' tailbones because jockeys' tailbones are in the air, and that's why the horse goes faster.
You got nothing to measure.
Most women are sitting on the pubic bone. So it might be inappropriate for some coaches to say to a 13-year-old girl, where are you sitting? So I approach the question this way: which is heavier, your tailbone or your pubic bone?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. We'll make it your tailbone. Oh, okay. You want me to sit like that? That heavy? Yeah. And then you show them I often take my camera with me, just my little iPhone, and I take a photo of them. They go, this can't be right. And I take a photo of them. They go, oh, my God, I'm sitting upright. I'm like, yes, I did tell you you're leaning forward. So you want to know the fourth one, the last one?
I do.
What am I going to tell you?
Oh, what? We've got to buy your book for that, right? Is that how that goes?
No, free education in Australia. If anybody's ever written to me and given me a sob story, if they're sad or they're lonely or their dog just died or their Aunt Polly's got tenure or they've got cancer, I give my stuff away free. I believe in free education whenever I can. I also had to make a living for 50 years, and I had to charge people or I would have gone bankrupt. But I have given away more stuff than I've ever sold, and that's where joy rather than happiness comes from. Kind of cool. Do you want to know the last one?
I do.
Want to know number 4?
I want to know number 4.
They're not in this order. It's not. They're all equally important. But if I was going to say number 1, there was slightly more important than the others. That if the other 3 fail, this must not fail. It's, are your toes visible? In other words, are your heels down? Are your toes up? I'll tell you a little story. In my stupid infinite wisdom, one Sunday at Harrisburg Horse World Expo, I bet the crowd. And I said, hey, crowd, come to my trade stand, and if you can pull me off the saddle stand, I have a saddle and saddle stand, if you can pull me off the saddle stand, in other words, if I can fall off the horse, I'll give you a free DVD. They were lined up out the door to try to pull me off the saddle stand. Now, I don't know if I was trying to get revenge or get a free DVD, I don't know. But they wanted to pull Colleen Kelly off that saddle stand, come love more money. Because I've been saying to them, it's not the core, it's not only the core. If you just work your core, you'll fall off. It's not only the core. Look, if you work your core, you'd have the strongest core in the world and be the worst rider.
Yes.
The worst, you fall off every 5 minutes. If you don't have these other four, the chest is more important than the core. However, the core supports everything, right? Fitness and core. I mean, you know,
right.
An unfit rider is going to fall off way easier than a fit rider. And when they fall, which is going to be my fifth thing, because there's always 5 or 4 things of me. I always have an extra. You know, a fit rider is always going to be better. But a core won't keep you warm. A core won't keep you. It'll keep you stable. It'll keep you fit. It'll allow you to ride more horses in the day. These days I'm getting old now, and if I ride for 45 minutes, I just have to call an ambulance. You know, in the old days we worked 22 horses a day, and we didn't ride all of them. Some riding on the ground, other people helping me, and. So I'm at Harrisburg Horse World Expo. I deck the crowd. I say to the crowd, if you can pull me to the ground, for maybe 5 hours, I have a queue of people trying to pull me to the ground.
I'll bet.
No one, because I was broke in those days, no one got a free DVD, not one single person. No one got me off that saddle stand. The funny part of this story is the next day. I'm at Harrisburg Airport. God knows how I managed to make it to the check-in. My good Lord above must have blessed me that morning, because from the check-in to the actual gate, and Harrisburg isn't a huge airport,
right.
I had to get a wheelchair. I could not walk, not one step. I had to get a wheelchair to take me there. And, you know, and I'm a fit performer. I couldn't take one single step. I was in that much pain from these people pulling me all day long.
Oh.
Guess what hurt? Guess what part of my body hurt? And all the Pilates people will go, oh, your belly muscles. Colleen Kelly, jelly belly. It was not my belly muscles. It was not my back. It was not my arms. It was not my chest. It was not my neck. It was not my butt. It was the front of my calves from keeping my heels down and my toes up.
Interesting.
That's all I've done all day long. I couldn't take a step. So if you want a core, a real core, it's below your knees. It's those muscles in the front of your legs. It's get the heels down. Now, any cowboy in the world can look down and see his toe in front of his knee. And I'm telling you, as a dressage judge, the only dressage judge ever to get 100% of judges' exam, Grand Prix dressage rider, we want the same thing. Article 418, page 27, subsection 5, unless they change the numbers on me since I was an official judge, says the heel must be the lowest point of the rider at all times. In other words, heels down. But what people try to do, somebody told them shoulder hip heel. I wish I could shoot that person. The shoulder hip heel is nonsense. You very rarely are you actually shoulder hip heel. You think about right canter. Your right leg is more forward.
Yes.
That's not shoulder hip heel. You think about jumping down a big jump at Rolex. You're leaning back and your legs are as far forward as you can stick those suckers. I've heard some of the trainers yell, toes up his nose, to get your toes up the horse's nose. Obviously, you can't get them that far, but that's what you're thinking when you're in. Have you seen the cowboys in the buck jumps? I don't like the people that spur animals, but in the buck jump rides and the saddle bronc rides, when they're bucking the horses, what do they do with their other hand? Their other hand, one hand holds on, one hand is up in the air,
Yeah.
behind their head.
Yeah.
It's not out in front of them. It's not out to the side. It's not in their pocket. It's not allowed to hang on. They have to be one hand. But what do they do with their hand? It's behind their head to pull their upper body back. Well, some of those cowboys and vaulters, they don't have their heels down. They have their toes down. Vaulters point their toes to stay on. Why? I don't know, because it looks pretty and it's ballet and it's cute. But we point our toes so hard into that ground. I feel some days when I was dragging somebody on that was falling, you know, and I have the record to say, knock wood, I never, ever dropped a vaulter, ever. I've never dropped one. And I'd bring the horse down, me down, and everything down before I dropped the vaulter. And I literally nearly could bring a horse down. The way we sit could nearly bring a horse down. Quite seriously, I know it sounds weird, but it could. It's all about how much you have in your feet. And is that, in a normal saddle, if you look down, your toe should line up with your knee. Forget the shoulder, hip, heel
Gotcha.
stuff.
So if your toes lining up with your knee, and I'm so glad that you said that, because if for the average rider, that would more line up the back of the heel with the center of the hip. Yeah?
Yeah, that's why they're scared. That's why they fall off. That's why they're not vaulters, and that's why they don't do Rolex.
Yeah, there you go.
There's a joke amongst Rolex riders, and Rolex, for those eventers who don't know, is one of the most dangerous, biggest. Just go to Kentucky. You can drive in by the way. Anytime you're in Lexington, Kentucky, you can go to Kentucky Horse Park and drive in. There's free tours, and you can see the Rolex stand. And if you ever thought you wanted to be an eventer, go to Rolex, and you will change your mind.
You'll change your mind, exactly. Exactly.
So big. And so they are the major four. It's not looking down. It's training our vision to look up. It's keeping our chest up at all costs, because cowboys don't have their chest down.
Right.
Because if they do, they then sit on their pubic bone, which they're not prepared to do. It's sitting on our tailbone at all costs. A cowboy will defend his right to sit on his tailbone.
Right. Right.
To the death. Because if he doesn't, he will be a gelding and not a cowboy.
Yeah.
Yes, she's right. For anybody listening, Colleen is right.
But to me, number one is, it's not, and I've heard trainers say, get your leg back. I'm like, have you lost your freaking mind?
Right.
Getting your leg back. If I said, Patrick, here's $1,000, or you'd have to do it for $1 million, you wouldn't even do it, I know. Here's $1 million for the movie. I want the horse to buck. Can you please go and make that horse buck? What would you do to make the horse buck? Nothing with your hands. There's nothing with your hand that you could do to make a horse buck.
Right.
Nothing. I can't think of anything. And you have to do it with your legs. There have to be a kick. And if you kick the horse's shoulders, right up near his neck, it doesn't buck. I know, because I've accidentally, because that's where I sat as a bolter, and I've accidentally kicked the horse 1,000,000 times in the shoulder, and he doesn't even feel it. He couldn't care less. But those guys back there that kick the horses in the ribs, oh yeah. Now, imagine a horse bucking when you're sitting backwards on the neck.
Right.
That's not fair. We were two bolters coming at you, so we never kick. Well, we're not allowed to in vaulting for a start, so we never kicked the horse. And eventually, I found a way to ride that basically just didn't use my legs at all, because I kept teaching para-equestrian after para-equestrian that was in wheelchairs that needed a way to ride at Olympic level, do flying changes, do half-pass, do pirouettes, no legs.
No legs,
So
right.
I wanted to find then there is a way. And if you don't kick the horses, they don't buck. And if you keep their ear back, they don't shy. And if you don't pull on their face and their teeth are okay, they don't rear.
Right.
So you can teach a person great biomechanics, but if you're not reading the horse, like that ear, to me, if that ear is the inside ear, if that inside ear is not back,
right.
Isn't it funny? I don't know whether you get this, Patrick. Will say, the inside and the outside of the horse, and people will say, which side's the inside?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm like, do you not eat supper and the food from the outside goes in your mouth, inside your body? Do you not come inside the house and then you go outside to get a suntan or something,
Right.
And, but yeah, the inside of the circle is just the smallest, the inside of the circle, and that inside is, for me, is life and death.
Exactly.
Life and death, and I'm not even kidding. Life and death and heels down. So to sum it up from those four, to sum it up into, I think it was 5 days of teaching the Albuquerque Mounted Police Unit, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind me using their name because they're lovely, lovely people. I wish they'd wear helmets. Well, they're idiots. They're police, they're role models. They're out there on tarmac, with people trying to shoot at them. Wear a helmet. And I had a captain and a lieutenant. And the captain was an extremely overweight, very, very short Asian gentleman that had never seen a horse before in his life, and he was about 45 years of age. And the lieutenant was the head of the SWAT team, and he had the SWAT telephone stuck to his ear, and he's a big, about 64 foot tall, and I thought that he was going to break the horse in two, and they were Percherons. On day 2, both of them managed to make Percherons bolt on day 2 of the training. I've never seen a Percheron bolt. In fact, you can barely get them to trot most of the time. I love Percherons. They're fantastic. Don't get me wrong. We use them in vaulting.
Right.
By day 5, these 2 gentlemen were qualified enough to go out on the street in patrol with a gun and a horse and arresting people, and on the main street of Albuquerque after 5 days of training. All I taught them was those 4 things. Get the ears back, look up, don't look down under any circumstances, have your chest up, sit on your tailbone and get your heels down, have your toes visible slightly in front of your knees. And they survived it. I don't know they win the Olympics, but they got home and they're still alive, and no one came off, and 5 days of training.
That's fantastic. So the 4 things to keep you on and keep you alive are riding through your chest, using your vision, keeping your eyes up, being aware and staying balanced on those 4 seat bones, or within, right?
Well, the 3 seat bones, the tailbone and the other 2 seat bones. Yeah.
The 3 seat bones, staying away from the pubic bone as much as we can. Keeping the toes up so that the heels are down, and then arguably the stability of the core to keep those things in there as your number 5, yeah?
Yeah, no, core still would make number 5. Jelly Belly Colleen Kelly.
Jelly Belly Colleen Kelly, that's right. So what was your number 5? You told me there was a 5, and then we got talking about the core.
Core still would make number 5. Number 5 would be stop graining your horses. And stop pelleting horses.
There we go. So 5 is going to be better nutrition.
Them naughty.
Better nutrition. So I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes here. So better nutrition for number 5. That's fantastic. Now I hate to do this, Colleen, because we know that you and I can talk forever. But we have a minute and a half until Facebook kills this second broadcast, which means we've gone for a full 2 hours at this point. So can we? Do you think we can do this super fast?
And thank you for inviting me all the way to America as I sit in beautiful Australia, and I hope to welcome you as my guest one day.
I cannot wait. So I'm going to try as fast as we can to run through these last couple questions. If you could ride with anybody, Colleen, past or present, who would it be?
It would be the Mongolian horseman.
Perfect. What's your personal definition of horsemanship?
Love.
Oh, I love that. I love that. We know folks can find you online in a million different ways, so we're going to make sure that we post all of your links in the comments section of these videos. Every video that I do, every broadcast that I do, there's a question of the day. If it's just me, I ask it myself. It's a question I ask for everybody who's listening, and they get to answer in the comments section below. But anytime there's a guest with me, the guest gets to ask the question of the day. What's our question of the day?
So I get to ask the question of the day.
You get to ask the question of the day.
Oh my goodness.
Oh no, 10 seconds.
10 seconds. How can we have more fun with our horses?
Perfect. How can we have more fun with our horses? Thank you so much, Colleen, for joining us. Gang, I want to thank you for tuning in for episode number 8, part 2 of Talking About Horses. Please remember, if you've missed any of it, you can access the full broadcast through Facebook, YouTube, or by streaming from iTunes. If you're listening through iTunes, please be sure to give us a rating and a review. Tune in next week for my interview with one of the most effective and knowledgeable communicators in the horse industry, the one and only Rick Lamb.